back, guys. If you guys are new here, my name is Chris. I have not been doing videos for a few, been a couple months. So I'm just now getting updated on everything that's going on with the case of Karmelo Anthony. So I don't really know much. As you guys know, my boyfriend, he does all these videos, Live with Reckless. So I don't really know much, just what he's been telling me about everything. And I know that it's been super crazy. So we're just going to jump right into it.
The controversy today in this case is that this young man, he's also 17, has been released after admitting to stabbing Austin Metcalf in the heart. At a track meet. They were both there as spectators, both boys in high school, their whole lives in front of them. He is admitting that he stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart with a knife. He alleges it's because Austin Metcalf laid hands on him. He's not even claiming Austin Metcalf had a weapon or threatened to kill him, etc. And now Karmelo Anthony has been released on bail. He was released from jail on Monday after posting a reduced $250,000 bond. He will remain on house arrest until his trial. A judge in Collin County slashed his $1 million bond originally. And
honestly, two things. Released shouldn't be in the vocabulary at all for me. That just doesn't seem like being released is just crazy. And then you see him walking out, and to me it looked like he has a smirk on his face, but hey, I could be wrong, but that's just what it looks like to me. And this is already just like crazy. Like I said, I know some things, but I don't know everything, and I haven't seen like all the videos or really any videos besides what I watch on my boyfriend's channel. But like, I don't know.
Said he may await trial at home with an ankle monitor and 24-hour supervision from his parents or some other adult designee. And the family had set up a Give, Send, Go account, which has already raised over $415,000 so far. I'll just tell you what some seasoned lawyers are saying. For example, our pal Phil Holloway. He says, I see people held without bond for months or even years for much less serious charges. And I've heard a lot of that. I mean, You know how many January 6th cases were held without bond? Who did not murder anybody. But right. This guy, Delano, gets out on, relatively low bond that somebody else is paying because he's already got this huge GoFundMe account or Give, Send, Go account. And you tell me why that is, in your opinion.
Well, to be frank, I was surprised that bail was set at $1 million. For context, Dylan Roof's bail was set at $1 million for the gun charges, not for the murders he committed, not for the 9 murders in Charleston, South Carolina, but on the gun charges. So $1 million always sounded high to me. If Karmelo Anthony had a long track record, a long criminal record, then I think it would be different. I think his entire case is going to hinge on his claim that he was acting in self-defense. A jury will have to hear evidence to substantiate that claim, and they will decide whether or not there's any basis to that claim. I think, this is my personal opinion, this case has moved from a local case to a national case because of the racial dynamics at play. And it's
Karmelo is black and Austin was white.
Correct. And it's unfortunate that it seems as if many of the conservatives who typically say, let's wait to hear all the facts, let's get all the evidence, let's let the jury, of this person's peers make a decision, have rushed to judgment in terms of motives, in terms of what happened or didn't happen. And part of the reason that I've been hesitant to make certain comments on this case publicly and why I'm holding my powder is because I've seen time and time again the original narrative that gets set into the media, whether on the left, typically on the left, because this race-related crimes are sort of the province of the left. They have been. I think that's changing now. But I've seen hands up, don't shoot, go up in flames. I've seen sort of the original narrative, in other cases, go up in flames. We've even seen, even when it comes to George Floyd, people go from saying, we see the video, to now certain commentators, particularly on the right, saying, no, Derek Chauvin had nothing to do with George Floyd's death. It was the overdose. So My thing is this. The $1 million bond sounded, as I said, sounded high to me. I'm not surprised it was lowered. The give, send, go stuff, I've seen how that's been.
Sorry, I had to pause him, but that makes no sense to me. Like, why? What is the reason on raising money for someone who committed a crime? And it wasn't like, okay, he pulled out a gun or he pulled out a knife or whatever. Okay, say he slapped him. Like, okay, so you stab him in the heart? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And then, like, everyone is just building up this money and this whole thing for what? Like, I don't understand it, and I can't wait to get into more videos and to understand the depth of everything, because I'm confused.
Sort of painted. Ultimately, Carmelo Anthony is going to face a jury of his peers, and if what he did if the sort of original reports hold true, that it was just a minor verbal altercation and he pulled out a knife and stabbed this young man in the heart, then he's going to go to jail, going to go to prison for a very, very long time.
He's going to. That's my prediction as a lawyer, and we take on legal cases all the time on this show, given my own past as a 10-year practicing attorney at a very high level. I have no doubt that this kid is in a lot of trouble right now and is more likely than not going to go to prison probably for the rest of his life, because we went through the legal standard with our legal panel just the other day. You cannot respond to non-deadly force with deadly force, period. Mm-hmm. Period. And it doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. What I think is happening here is this judge is probably bending over backward for him because of the color of his skin, because the judge is probably afraid of looking like they're being too tough. But the defense law firms down in Texas who deal with this kind of law all the time, for example, Granger Muller, criminal defense law firm from Texas, said those accused of murder in Texas will have a bail amount set at $1 million or more, period. That's what they do. The lowering of it was remarkable. Yes, he's 17. That may have had some effect on the fact that he's still a minor, so he's technically under his parents' control. But the parents know very well that this kid could be facing life in prison. So there is a flight risk. There's some sort of risk associated with this. And if what's alleged by the kid's own words here, Steve, is true, I don't know whether the community is in danger or not. Honestly, like this is alleged to be a hair trigger situation where this kid responded to some sort of hand on him, trying to remove him from the spot where Austin and his brother and friends were watching a game. And let's go with the worst possible interpretation. Austin is a racist, which, by the way, there is zero support for. Some left-wing loons got that going on X, and I hope you all face defamation lawsuits. There's zero support for that. But let's just go with the worst case thing you could imagine, where Austin Metcalf said something racist. No one's alleging that. And that Carmelo Anthony got upset and said, yeah, I'm not leaving. And then said, go ahead, make me. And Austin Metcalf laid hands on him to make him. You still cannot pull a knife and stab him in the heart. We went through the law. You, A, cannot be the person who provoked the attack on you in response to which you used a knife. And so he can't claim self-defense for that reason. And more importantly, B, the response to force being used against you in all 50 states in the union must be proportional to the threat. And you may not use a knife, a gun, or any other means that will obviously cause death or risk serious bodily harm if that is not what's about to happen to you. Here is the police affidavit in support of the arrest. Anthony later told responding officers he was defending himself, explaining, quote, he put his hands on me. I told him not to, while, quote, crying hysterically. The affidavit said Anthony also asked if Metcalf was going to be okay. Of course, he had already died, was officially pronounced dead at a hospital less than a half.
I don't know. Like I said, the knife, like, she explained it well. The knife and then him, say, putting his hands on him or whatever, leads to the knife situation. Like, that just doesn't do it. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Half hour after the stabbing. Your thoughts on it, Steve?
Well, if you don't mind, just a quick digression. I wanted to commend the father here of the victim who got just roundly criticized for forgiving his son's murderer. because we're conflating forgiveness with forbearance. It doesn't mean we're exempting you from the consequences of your actions. It just means we're not going to harbor bitterness to you. God forgave me, so I'll forgive you. And ultimately, you now have to face the consequences for your actions. And I'm going to release you of that and not let that bitterness take root in me and turn me into a person I don't want to become. That's really why we forgive. And I wanted to make sure that father got a well done, good and faithful servant from me if this topic came up. As to your question, I'm fine in a case of self-defense, like what Delano said, just letting the process play out. Unfortunately, we have a hard time doing that when, based on even what you just said in your lead up there, Megan, it is an irregular. It's at the very least an irregular reduction in bail for a case of murder in the state of Texas. Number one, I think it's perfectly fine to question why. What's so unique about this? We have witnesses, we have a police statement, we have, doesn't mean, by the way, he doesn't get due process in a trial, but we're talking about bail here. We're not talking about sentencing, okay? And so what would be unique? And I don't know how you could avoid just coming up with some of the obvious things that would be unique about this case as to why a certain level of bail leniency would be practiced here, as you did. I'm actually way more disturbed in trying to figure out what would contemplate someone to say, I want to give my hard-earned money to this give, send, go. That's the part of me, the part to me that I'm just really troubled by.
That's what I was saying. Like, I don't see it. Like, we all know when wrong is wrong. Either way it goes, even if you say it's not, you know that it was wrong. So, like, I just can't see myself personally donating a penny to support that at all. I just don't. Like, I don't see like how anybody else would either. So like, that's my whole thing. When I heard about the GoFundMe thing, or the money raising, whatever, I don't think it was GoFundMe, but I was like, what? For what? Like, really, like, what are we doing this for? So, and they just allowed to have that. Like, I don't know. And then, like, what are they going to use the money really for? I don't know. Because I've heard a lot of stories about that too. But like I said, I'm just now jumping into this, so I don't really know. And I'm starting from the beginning.
Yeah, I just don't understand what it is about this case, unless you're so embedded in racial identity that it's become your own idolatry. I have no idea why you would feel compelled to take money off your kid's table and give it to this cause. Okay, I mean that's the part of I just can't wrap my brain around that part of this.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't care what age, what color, what anything. Wrong is wrong, and that was so wrong. And that's what I'm sticking with. And I just don't see how there's so much leeway for this kid. Like 17, 16, 15, whatever age, you know at the end of the day what you're doing. And I hate that we live in a world where everything has to be so racial and this and that. Never looked at that ever. And like I said, age, race, anything, this is crazy and that is wrong. And I just can't wrap my head around all of this because it's so crazy to me. That's like, I'm just like really at a loss for words. But like I said, this is my first video on Karmelo Anthony, and like I said, I only know so much. So just comment down any other videos you guys would like me to see, or any other information that's out there, so I can read up on it and let you guys know my opinion. But I will be posting every day. I don't know what time, but every day. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned.